Hello and welcome to Okcoin Live. I'm your host Samuel McCullough and we are in my hometown of sunny Miami Beach for this episode. And I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Mandy Campbell. How you doing, Mandy?
Good.
It's great to see you.
It's great to be here. We're here for Bitcoin 2022, which is bringing together 20 to 30,000 Bitcoiners from around the world. And I know Sam and I are really excited to talk to Sarah, who is the founder of Ladies in Bitcoin at Bitcoin Ladies, if you're trying to find her on Twitter. And we not only just announced that we have a Crypto for All grant for Ladies in Bitcoin, but my understanding is that you are about to launch a lot more stuff for it. Tell us more about Ladies in Bitcoin.
Yeah, so Ladies in Bitcoin is now officially a incorporated 501c3 pending nonprofit. Our goal is basically to help get more women into Bitcoin, coming from an education standpoint, providing resources, providing events for people to go to, and just really explore the industry and be interested in it and, you know, contribute, because we have a severe gender gap in the industry, as you know. On the Crypto for All website, you know, there's a great stat on there that says less than 50% of Bitcoin holders are women, and less than, I think, 4% of crypto company founders are women. So that definitely needs to change, and that's what Ladies in Bitcoin is here to do.
I think we're already seeing the changes. You know, one of the things that feels different about this conference is that I guess the idea of maybe toxic, well, not masculinity, but toxic maximalism is on its way out. And we're moving towards a Bitcoin centrism, or crypto for all, as we call it at Okcoin. So it's great to see that we're broadening the tent and trying to bring in more women into the Bitcoin space, because it's badly needed. You know, we can't perpetuate these crypto bro stereotypes anymore. And we need more women like you, Mandy, and you, Sarah, here in the space to be educating and helping more people come into the Bitcoin community.
Yeah, I definitely think that as, you know, crypto, the industry itself expands, we obviously start to get a lot more diversity in here, which is a great thing. Mm-hmm. But there definitely still is an element of sort of toxic maximalism, which is very in line with sort of toxic masculinity, in my opinion, but especially online, which, you know, socials are such a sort of direct pathway to getting into an industry like Bitcoin, or just being interested in anything in crypto. So one of our goals is to sort of help facilitate the social media scene to be more welcoming and more friendly, and have communities and groups where women can feel, and women and non-binary people, and, you know, any minorities and LGBTQ identifying folks can feel welcome and accepted, and like they're in a community of similar and like-minded people, rather than just, you know, the same sort of crypto Bitcoin bro scene that we've seen. And, you know, at the conference, I'm hoping that tomorrow, you know, when people start rolling in, that we can see an evident sort of shift from last year's demographic, where it was mostly men. You know, there was no line at the women's restroom, which is sort of the running joke. And there was a huge line at the men's restroom, which never happens. You know, so I really hope that this year that improves, and Ladies in Bitcoin was able to, thanks to the Bitcoin conference, you know, help sponsor 25 women to go to this conference for free. So.
Oh, that's amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what's your experience been like at the conference so far, and what are you hoping is maybe a little different than last year, aside from what you just said?
Yeah, I'm hoping that, you know, we get a lot more just signal. This year we have this FOSS stage, the free and open source software stage, where a lot of amazing people that are in Bitcoin, sort of contributing open source or working on cool projects, are presenting. And so that's a space for people to genuinely learn. Otherwise, you know, I think most of the conference is like a big party. The main stage is really just a bunch of like big announcements that you can watch online, which I hope that people like go to those smaller stages, especially the FOSS stage, and really learn something. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's great to see some of the women who are going to be highlighted as some of the primary speakers at the Bitcoin conference. I know Kathy Wood's going to be here, who is based out of Florida, out of Tampa. And then also, who was there was a North Korean defector who was coming to speak as well too.
Nomi Park.
Yeah, Nomi Park, yeah. Mm-hmm. So she's actually at the top of the speakers list for this conference, which is incredibly cool to see. it's really interesting that we're starting to have a broadening of viewpoints being put forward, and especially with Mrs. Park, you're starting to see where now we're having both people who have escaped totalitarian regimes and also dissidents are coming to speak at the Bitcoin conference, because for them Bitcoin is freedom and it's the ability to change their lives at a really core and personal level. And I think these stories that are going to be told, especially when they're told by women about how they're making a direct impact on their lives, is only going to further more women like yourselves, and through what your Ladies in Bitcoin education is going to help us. So really excited to see that. So when it comes to your Ladies in Bitcoin, can you tell us about how it's coming about and what you're planning for the next 2 months?
Yeah, so this Sunday, I'm not sure when this is going to come out, but April 10th, 11 to 2, we're going to have our first event. It's going to be like a launch event, but it's going to be focused on Bitcoin education and networking for women in the space and just really anyone who wants to come, but really making it a comfortable space for women to want to just learn about Bitcoin, enter the space, network with people, find jobs if they want to. Cash App is going to be our presenting partner.
Amazing.
I just got that email a few minutes ago,
Awesome.
so that's exciting. Yeah, and they're going to be presenting on, careers that are open there, and we'd love to just have more women in the ecosystem contributing, working in the space, and so that's our main thing. On Sunday as well, the website hopefully is going to launch as well, and we're going to have just a bunch of curated, like a jobs board, events and educational sort of programs from beginner to want to learn how to contribute to Bitcoin Core or Lightning and whatnot, just sort of all on this resource website. So that's the big thing that's coming up. And then the next event that we're hosting is going to be around the MIT Bitcoin Expo, which is in May, and we're going to collaborate with Women in Blockchain to do another similar event. So that'll be exciting. Yeah.
Very exciting. So we talked a little bit about toxic maximalism, which I feel like is always a topic of conversation, especially at a Bitcoin conference. What's your viewpoint on that? Because clearly you're creating a Bitcoin-focused organization and business. How do you view maximalism, and what has your journey been in maybe opening your mind up to things outside of Bitcoin?
And also, you're one of the younger generation of Bitcoiners as well too. So, a lot of these maximalists, especially toxic ones, were early. They've been around since 2011, 15, when the previous waves came. So, as somebody who's part of this new generation, again, Mandy's right on. Like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I think most Bitcoiners that I've met who are very passionate about Bitcoin, even if they're not maximalists, have had this maxi phase. I definitely have had a few months of just, okay, yeah, you all on Twitter have convinced me, I guess, Bitcoin is the only thing I should pay attention to. And during those few months, I think I did the least learning I ever did and the least exploring, which was really, I think, slowed me down a lot in terms of just developing myself in the ecosystem and learning as much as I could about how to, add to it, contribute to it, because, I think it's okay that if you like Bitcoin only, that you just focus on that. There's nothing wrong with that. And, with, Ladies in Bitcoin, that's what I'm doing. I'm focusing on Bitcoin. At the same time, I'm also, interacting with and participating in much of the broader crypto ecosystem just because I find it fascinating. Right? I don't think that the entire ecosystem is a scam, and I think it's genuinely a mistake to take the toxic maxi viewpoint and call everything that's not Bitcoin a scam, because then you don't help people differentiate between true scams and projects that are genuine, that are really doing beneficial things for people. And so I think that when it comes to maximalism for me, I don't see that being ever again being sort of prominent in any aspect of life, but especially when it comes to learning about, crypto. Just focusing on Bitcoin, I think that makes it so that you don't learn from other ecosystems and other blockchains. And a lot of people say that there's nothing to learn, and I would say that that's not true, because there obviously is a lot of innovation happening. And even if Bitcoin and the rest of the DeFi space is not really technically aligned and that they don't try to achieve the same things, you can learn a lot from the network that's sort of developed within those ecosystems. So the type of people that are attracted to building on Ethereum, are just extremely intelligent, like young people, younger than me, like college dropouts, like geniuses at 16 years old who can start coding these like gorgeous smart contracts that, just I feel like is a completely different demographic than what is in Bitcoin right now. And so as a Bitcoiner, I think it's so important that we go and explore these other chains, and we go into their ecosystems, and we participate in their communities, and we see what sort of binds them together and what helps them move so fast, whereas what is like sort of holding Bitcoin back and making Bitcoin development so slow. So I think there's a lot to be learned and a lot to be, added to Bitcoin that we can take from these other blockchains.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think in my own experience, I think a lot of people are attracted to things that aren't Bitcoin just because it seems like there's a lot more efforts to foster community, especially for, maybe non-binary people or people who like don't feel like they fit into maybe like the people who have traditionally been Bitcoiners. So I share your hope that, in Bitcoin we can create a more welcoming environment for them, so that, people don't feel kind of turned off, especially going into, Bitcoin Twitter and those kinds of spaces where there's a lot of really interesting conversation happening there, a lot of innovation that's happening. But yeah, I think we're clearly lacking some important voices in the space.
For sure.
So when it comes to learning about Bitcoin or getting started with learning the entire ecosystem, how do you think about that? What would you recommend to people?
I think when it comes to like, when I try to explain Bitcoin to someone, or really any concept in crypto, I like to understand where they're coming from and what motivates them. So I would say that I think most of the people that I talk to, I try to talk to a lot more women now. So when it comes to women, it's about, financial empowerment and financial independence, especially if, a woman is really reliant on their partner, or they're in an abusive situation where they need to get out, but they aren't in control of their funds. I think Bitcoin just as a concept can help teach them like financial independence and really being in control of your funds is important and is doable. And I just think that painting that concept with Bitcoin and not just really talking about Bitcoin as what Bitcoin is sort of the first step that I take. And then otherwise, if people want to just learn about Bitcoin, I usually just direct them to this like Bitcoin 101 course that I wrote for Bitcoin Magazine last year. It's gotten a lot of good feedback, and yeah.
And it's called 21 Days of Bitcoin, and it's currently available from Bitcoin Magazine, correct?
Yeah.
Tell us about the process of creating that.
The process of creating that was pretty boring as a story. Basically, they were like, we want to make a education section. And I was like, okay. And they were like, make an email course. And I was like, okay. And then a month later, I gave it to them. And they were like, perfect, thank you. And that is it. I wrote it, I designed it, made all the graphics, researched it. Yeah.
Well, I bet it was a lot of hard work to create a 21-day email course. I mean, just personally working on customer lifecycle marketing and that kind of stuff, it's not easy. So I'm glad that you were able to do that.
Yeah, it was fun to make, for sure, and taught me a lot too, going back and researching. So.
Oh, and we understand that there may be some alpha that you can share about 21 Days of Bitcoin.
Yeah,
we always like to include some alpha here at Okcoin Live.
Currently, it is being translated to Ukrainian.
Wow.
By a woman who, I think, the director of Bitcoin Magazine Ukraine is here, but I think the people or the team who are translating 21 Days are literally like in bunkers in Ukraine right now on their laptops, translating as much as they can while they have power.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
hopefully helpful for people that are trying to put their savings into Bitcoin right now in Ukraine. I mean, I can only imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was some of the feedback that you got from that article series after you published it?
Yeah, a lot of the feedback. So what I did was I told everyone within the articles, like, if you have questions, feedback, use the hashtag 21 Days of Bitcoin.
Nice.
So I was able to sort of read all of those, and I think people really enjoy reading it because it's something that's so starkly, almost like untechnical and simple that they're like, oh, I get this. And one of the unique pieces of feedback that I got was a lot of people who worked at the company at Bitcoin Magazine were telling me, like, oh my God, this orange pilled my wife, or like, my daughter loves this, or my female partner loves this. And it wasn't that I wrote it with any intention to make it for women, but perhaps it's because taking the perspective that I have, I think like subconsciously a lot of women can relate to it and sort of understand it on a deeper level. So that was something that really proved to me, like, okay, yeah, it does matter, who the messenger is, who the creator is.
Yeah.
And I sort of relate to that when I look back at my own Bitcoin sort of education, and I didn't bother listening to a single podcast, watching a single video, or reading a single piece of text from anyone in the whole toxic maxi male group, because I just felt like we had different perspectives, and I didn't know if I could relate to those. So, yeah.
So glad you're bringing your perspective.
I know. I read it before we did this interview, and it's really refreshing. It's written in a very like easy to understand way, and just I think you're a very good writer as it is. So it was refreshing for me, even having been in this space for years, to go back and see some of this information put in a specific way. I know that, and from like my wife, it's taken her a long time to kind of come around to crypto, because maybe like I always speak about it in quite a technical or kind of boring way in my own way. But now that she's been engaging with content that's created by women, she's starting to get it, and she's coming to me and talking to me now about a lot of these technical crypto terms, and just some of the things that I've probably explained to her before, but probably went right over her head because I'm bad at. I'm not the medium that she needs to be able to explain it to her. So it's really great that you're creating this.
Thank you.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to connect it home for people. I think
Yeah.
the things that are important to one group might not be the things that are important to another group when it comes to Bitcoin. So yeah. Well, I think we will start wrapping up, and what we like to do now for wrapping up is a game that we call Okay or Not Okay. And so this is for you to share your hot takes on some somewhat controversial topics. So we'll share a couple. Sam will share a couple.
We have a prop. We
need our prop. Alina.
Where's our prop?
Right here.
Here we go.
We could do it either front to back or two different.
Or
This is our inaugural one, so.
what would you like to do? Would you like to hold it up and
I'll hold it up.
you hold it up? Okay.
So yeah, it's probably easier to do two, because then, so right hand is not okay.
Okay.
Left hand is okay. Okay. So hold them down and then raise it when you answer. This one's okay. That one's not okay.
Okay. I love answering controversial questions.
Yeah. Okay. So to end the show, we will go into okay or not okay, where you get to share your hot takes on somewhat controversial topics. So let's start with Bitcoin maximalism. Okay or not okay?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay. All right.
This was supposedly a controversial one last week for somebody from Chicago, but they said it wasn't. So we'll go with the most controversial one, and we'll work our way back. So pineapple on pizza.
Have I told you about my diet yet?
No.
Like,
No.
I'm a cheesetarian.
Oh wow.
I pretty much
Only
just eat
cheese.
cheese and carbs.
Okay. So pizza fits pretty squarely into that.
Yeah. Pineapples, like, I wouldn't do it, but like, I'm cool with it. There are
You're
people
okay
who
with
enjoy
other
Hawaiian
people.
pizza.
Yeah.
You know.
I would disagree, but we'll let that one pass. How about taking out a Bitcoin loan to buy a house?
Totes proponent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
What about dating someone based on their astrology symbol?
That's exactly what I did.
What about Elon Musk joining the board of Twitter?
I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for everything, I think.
I think Jack's excited as well too.
He is, yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone's excited except for some people who work at Twitter. But we'll see what happens. You know?
Yeah.
We're in here in Miami Beach, and we have some of the lowest taxes in the entire country. But you go to any of these restaurants, and there's going to be 18 to 20% gratuity charge on top. Okay or not okay?
Well, I think, a lot of Bitcoiners would say that taxation is theft, but this is really just another loophole to be like, yeah, we're not taxing you. That's our gift to you as the government. But also, like, we'll put that burden on the restaurants instead, even though we're basically mandating them to do that. So, I mean, like, it's okay to do that because I feel like I already tipped 20% anyway, because I feel like those square registers, every time you see them, it's like, now it used to be like 10, 15, 18%. Now they're all like 18, 20, 22% tips. So I'm used to it. In San
Inflation.
Francisco, we have the highest like taxes ever, and we still have to tip 18, 20%. So
Okay.
still better in Miami, and you don't have to do the math. Honestly, I'm not complaining.
How about spending 100 ETH on an NFT?
If you're able to spend 100 ETH on an NFT, like, it's probably a really good investment for you, or a really good tax loss harvest. So,
Right.
yeah, a lot of people think that people are just being dumb when they're spending 100 ETH on an NFT. I don't think so. Yeah. So.
Do you own any NFTs?
I own a lot of NFTs. I'm very into NFTs. I'm pretty transparent about it.
Yeah?
NFTs on Stacks, NFTs on Ethereum. Have not explored Solana yet because I don't have the bandwidth, but I'm open.
Okay.
Yeah.
NFTs are okay.
Yeah, NFTs are okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us, Sarah. It's really great to hear more about Ladies in Bitcoin, hear your hot takes, and talk a little bit about Bitcoin maximalism in Miami during the Bitcoin conference. And we hope you have a great rest of the conference.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thanks so much to Sarah for coming on this week's Okcoin Live.
And if you want to learn more about her project, you can go to ladiesinbitcoin.org or find her on Twitter at BitcoinLadies or on Instagram at the same handle. And I'm Mandy Campbell.
And I'm Samuel McCullough. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. We'll see you again next week.